Shalom, family. Good to see you all here. Hope you're doing well. Please forgive me. We got a hot day on tap here in New Jersey. You probably hear my AC in the background, but nevertheless, I am here and we're going to talk about one of the things that caused the talks to break apart was Iran, their demand to be able to enrich uranium. And the US said, no, they don't want them to have a nuclear weapon. And I'm thinking to myself, America got a nuclear weapon. They got nuclear weapons, okay? And do you feel safe with Donald Trump having nuclear weapons? I don't. So, anyway, y'all. Oh, and the blockade is bullshit, y'all. It really is. China went up in there, said they going in there. They got deals and they got agreements with Iran that they have to fulfill. They were going up there into the Straits of Hormuz, and they're not asking. They're going to just go in there. And guess what they did? They went in there, and the U.S. Navy didn't do squat to stop them. So much for that blockade, Donald Trump. That blockade you set up is laughable. It's 13 Navy ships, y'all. And China just pushed their way through and went right up in there to do business with Iran. So I guess that's some more tacos there for you, Donald Trump. Like I said, paper tiger. He ain't about nothing but just running his mouth, making all kinds of threats. At the end of the day, China was like, F all of this. We got things to do. We going up in there. And they sure did. They sure did. Antithesis, thank you so much for the super chat out you supporting. Thank you so much. I deeply appreciate it. So, Donald Trump ain't about crap. So you're going to see, the U.S. talking all kinds of crap. They can't have nuclear weapons. How are you going to tell another country what they can and cannot have? You got some say on what they can do, Plus, didn't you tear up Obama's deal? They said that was the best deal this country ever had with Iran. And Donald Trump got rid of that deal. And he hasn't come up with his own deal for Iran yet. He has no deal. Now, what I'm hearing, and I think I've told you this, they're talking about Donald Trump is trying to put the deal back on the table, but what he want to do is take Obama's name off the same deal and put his name on the deal. I say, well, yeah, that sounds about white. So anyway, y'all, let me go ahead and share my screen. Yeah, that's the one. And please give me a 1 if you can see my screen. Thank you.
Iran has the right to enrich uranium. Now, if you have
the right to stop them, and
uranium that enriched at the level of 3%, that is not a nuclear weapons program. You need it at least 90%. It is ridiculous to pretend that if you have 3%
that's so silly, and that's
uranium,
it demonstrates
that is a
trivial
nuclear
amounts
weapons
about
program. It's
weapons
nonsense.
enrichment, or you're intentionally lying to your audience. Once you get to 3%, you are 70% of the way to
You are
90%.
entitled to enrich uranium according to the non-proliferation treaty that Israel is
Not according to the
party
United States, they aren't. And so the question is, if
States,
you are right,
the non-proliferation treaty is available in the UN database. Read it, and it says every state has the right to enrich uranium.
Iran is not entitled to enrich uranium,
and that's
because
what
the
Iran
United
was
States
doing.
says it's not. And
So, all right.
That's what the United States says. That's a non-proliferation treaty that every country in the world, with the exception of Israel, is a party to.
Call the international law police and send them to the White House.
Okay, well then, okay, Will, let me ask you this question, Will. Then why does the US get to be the international law police then? You're saying that, yes, they may be able to within the non-proliferation treaty, but the US says they can't. So what makes US the mediator?
The B-2 bomber.
So Might is right.
Yes.
All right, then.
We are the most powerful nation in the world. We are also a very benevolent force. But because we have such a strong military and the willingness to use it, are in a position to tell the Iranians, you don't get to enrich uranium. And the only reason you would want to do that is to build nuclear weapons. And so they can point to whatever treaties they want to. We don't care. We are not okay.
I tell you,
the Iranians having nuclear weapons capability. We will enforce that red line with the most powerful military in the world, as we have done.
It's always been non-negotiable that they won't have nuclear capabilities. And so right now it's buried and we're watching it. We know exactly what they have, and they know that. And they will either give it to us, which the president has laid out. They'll give it to us voluntarily. We'll get it. We'll take it out. Or if we have to do something else ourselves, like we did in Midnight Hammer or something like that, we reserve that opportunity. But what's clear, what the new Iranian regime knows, is they'll never have a nuclear weapon or the capability to get a path to one.
Did y'all see Iran reject the United States offer to negotiate? Watch this.
Would like to make it clear to the entire world that United States remains available for formal talks with Iran, but only if Tehran is prepared for direct and meaningful dialogue. Direct and meaningful. We have been clear, however, about certain expectations for any arrangement. Foremost, there can be no enrichment inside of Iran, and that remains our principle. But instead of taking that hand of diplomacy, you continue to put your hand in the fire. Step away from the fire, sir, and take President Trump's hand of diplomacy. It's extended to you.
We appreciate any fair and meaningful negotiation, but insisting on zero enrichment policy, it is contrary to our rights as a member of the NPT. And it means that they are not pursuing the fair negotiation. They want to dictate their predetermined intention on Iran. Iran will not bow down to any pressure and intimidation, and we are not going to blackmail to the body in international field. Thank you.
Iran said, how many times do we got to tell y'all, y'all cannot pressure or intimidate us to give up our enrichment policy?
You're not getting it. It's not clocking to you. It's not clocking to you that I'm standing on business, is it?
He looked up from them glasses like, look here, bitch. Now, we done told y'all motherfuckers, we not giving up our enrichment policy. I don't know how many times we got to tell y'all it's not happening. Now, if you want to have some fair negotiations and talk about some real shit, then holla at me. Otherwise, stop bringing up negotiations. You ain't going to dictate what the fuck we going to do and call it a negotiation. You ain't going to blackmail us into doing what the fuck you want us to do. Okay?
The issue of ballistic missiles is off table. The issue and the main focus of negotiations is nuclear, and it will be so. It will remain so. The presence of CENTCOM's commander doesn't change anything at all, and we have been told that he's there to visit their own naval forces in the region. There was a request from the U.S. side to be present, and this demand and request was rejected outright by the Iranian side, and we said that we don't accept the presence of a a military commander in negotiations, and we think that there is no connection between CENTCOM commander and the nuclear talks.
So Iran is not going to give up its uranium enrichment program. It doesn't matter how many times the US talks with Iran, and it doesn't matter how many times they go to Geneva, Iran is hell-bent on getting a nuclear weapon. So you may ask the question, what's the problem? Just give them a nuclear weapon. The problem is that Iran, being an autocratic, despotic Islamic regime, I'm not against Islam, I'm going to be very clear here, they will use that nuclear weapon. Their aim is to change the neighborhood, and therefore you can't have a nuclear weapon in an unstable environment. However, you could say, what about Israel? What about North Korea? Well, Israel's not looking to change the neighborhood or launch a nuclear missile. North Korea is a problem, but they're not looking to make the whole world like North Korea, and that is the problem. Now, you may not like it, you may not sound good to you, you may sound anti, you may think I'm this or I'm that, but I've got to state the facts. Iran with a nuclear missile is dangerous for the world, full stop. So there is going to be a strike on Iran by the US because talks are going to fail. Talks will fail and the US will strike at Iran, debilitating it militarily and, of course, on a nuclear basis. Now, that is going to impact gold, going to impact oil, and obviously going to impact the US dollar and equities. You could see oil, if there was a further expansion, escalation of the war, you could see oil hit $200 a barrel if Qatar, Bahrain, Saudi Arabian oil fields are struck. On top of that, you could see gold go up to around about 5,500, irrespective of the geopolitical circumstances, where gold is a go-to on a crisis. When there's a crisis, people go invest in gold. Gold's going to go up in any case to $6,000 minimum by year-end 2026. Look at silver. Silver's also moved up from the lows last week of $71 to where it is 86, and that will continue moving up, especially with the end of the Chinese New Year. You're going to have silver moving up all the way to around about $110 an ounce. So those are the ones to get involved in. What about copper? So copper, palladium, platinum, well, copper especially is underperforming, but I do expect that to break out. As far as platinum and palladium are concerned, they are also metals that will move up as far as the metals are concerned. Equities will fall when there is a strike on Iran, and there is going to be a strike on Iran. Now, if you want to join the program, we've got 9 different groups. We run Zooms, fundamentals, technicals. You can visit drivingmarkets.com, choose what you want to choose, get on board, and we'll see you there. Have a good day.
Did you hear what Iran just said to the United States? The Khamenei, Iran's supreme leader, just went on live television and basically told Trump, quote, "You can't do a damn thing about our nuclear program." Seriously, he mocked the United States and questioned who we even think we are. And then the dude, get this, doubles down, saying Iran's not stopping uranium enrichment, deal or no deal. Oh, and there's a lot more from Iran that we'll get to. But if you recall, Trump's been pushing hard here, saying under his potential new deal, Iran wouldn't be allowed to enrich at all. But Iran's just been laughing it off, saying, not your business, not your call. But then their foreign minister jumps into the mix on X, saying there's no deal without enrichment. And then their defense chief, well, he took a jab at Israel too, saying they're all bark and no bite. So everybody's jumping into the mix here. Things are getting wild. So now we're left wondering, are we about to see another Middle East standoff? Is Iran really calling our bluff, or are they just playing tough for the cameras? What do you think? Should Trump hit back harder, or is this just a political threat, a political theater, whatever it may be? Let me know in the comments.
This guy talking is a joke. Now, Iran already done kicked your ass. What do you mean theater? They don't have to do nothing for no damn theater. They already kicked your ass. Okay? They already kicked your ass. And they don't have to give in. Okay? They're the winners in this whole thing. Why would they have to give in to the loser? So if, it's Even when these people lose, they think they got the authority to dictate how things are going to be, even when their ass done lost. So, no, Iran can stand on business because they won. Okay, they kicked both Israel and the United States ass at the same damn time. Why would they have to give in to either one of you? Unbelievable. These people are so, yeah, they're narcissists. They absolutely are. Tempest, you're right. Even when their ass lose, they think they're in some kind of authority to tell everybody what to do. And no, honey, you don't have it like that no more. Your glory days are over. For real. But let's go on.
Section below. If you want more news that's unapologetic and trustworthy, hit that follow button. Appreciate you.
There are three things that need to come out of this very, very just war that we got into. And that is, number one, the uranium, the enriched uranium that is currently on Iranian soil. Number two is future enriched uraniums and their nuclear power and nuclear weapons program. And number three is the ballistic missile program. These three things need to be stopped. And if we don't do that, it would be very disappointing for everybody in the region, including the Iranian people, the Israelis, and the Gulf states.
After 21 hours of talks in Islamabad, Pakistan, there is no deal with Iran. Vice President J.D. Vance was joined by Special Envoys Witkoff and Kushner after the meeting and said this.
The simple fact is that we need to see an affirmative commitment that they will not seek a nuclear weapon, and they will not seek the tools that would enable them to quickly achieve a nuclear weapon. That is the core goal of the President of the United States, and that's what we've tried to achieve through these negotiations.
Reports indicate there are still gaps on the issues of uranium enrichment, control of the Strait of Hormuz, and the release of frozen Iranian assets. There are now questions about what comes next amid an ongoing U.S. military buildup across the Middle East that includes more transport planes landing here each day. President Trump spoke over the weekend about the situation.
Let me just tell you, we win, no matter what. We've defeated their military. They have no Navy. 158 ships are underwater, undersea. All of their minesweepers and all of their, they call them mine droppers. Can you imagine? A country has 28 mine droppers. You think that's nice? With all of that being said, they're all defeated, by the way. They're all at the bottom of the sea.
As the talks are ongoing in Islamabad, Israel and Hezbollah continued to trade blows, with Hezbollah launching drones and rockets into northern Israel and the Israelis striking southern Lebanon.
The campaign is not over yet, but it is already clear. We have historic achievements. I want to remember where we were. Iran tried to encircle us with a stranglehold. Hamas in Gaza, Hezbollah in Lebanon, the Assad regime in Syria, the militias in Iraq, the Houthis in Yemen. Iran itself, they wanted to strangle us, and we are strangling them. They threatened us with annihilation, and they are now fighting to survive. We have prepared them. We still have more to do.
Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu there saying the campaign is not over yet.
What the Iranians did say was like, hey, we're not going to make a nuclear bomb, but we want the ability to enrich uranium, because they had seen what had taken place in Libya and Iraq. And they said, hey, if we go the Gaddafi route in Libya and say, here's all of our nuclear making material, then they're a sitting duck. Then they can be invaded and regime changed at any given time. They saw the Saddam route. If they actually pursued a weapon, or even like kind of BS'd that they had a weapon, that same thing, they would be immediately invaded. So they kind of had this ability to say, hey, we have a prohibition of a nuclear weapon, but we have some ability to enrich. This was a major threat to the Israelis' goal. So what I watched the Israelis do over the course of the last year was use their government officials engaging with our government officials, but then also their surrogates in the media, Mark Levin, who I'll talk to tonight, mainstream media, think tanks, Foundation for Defense of Democracies, a lot of talking heads on Fox News, to move the red line. So Trump had said, my red line is no nuclear weapons. The Ayatollah said, great, I don't want nuclear weapons either. Let's talk. So they moved the red line by saying enrichment. Iran can have no enrichment. Enrichment equals a nuclear weapon, which is just fundamentally not true. So that would be parroted from officials in the Israeli government and then also on the news.
He said, we refuse to give up the right to enrichment. And I thought to myself, you know what? My wife has the right to skydive, but she doesn't jump out of an airplane because she and I have an agreement that she's not going to do that because I don't want my wife jumping out of an airplane.
So he doesn't allow his wife to jump out of an airplane, and this is related how? Listen again to what he says.
President Trump just made a big announcement on Truth Social saying there will be no uranium enrichment in Iran. He goes on to say that the United States will work with Iran to dig up and remove what the president calls nuclear dust, that enriched uranium that was buried deep underground after the strikes during Operation Midnight Hammer last summer. He goes on to say that sanctions relief is being discussed with the Iranian regime.
According to new reports from the Washington Post, Iran has maintained the core components of its nuclear program even after 5 weeks of extensive U.S. and Israeli strikes, which have cost the U.S. taxpayer billions of dollars. Iran likely still has functional centrifuges in a deep underground site where it can continue uranium enrichment. Additionally, Tehran has a remaining stockpile of nearly 1,000 pounds of near weapons-grade uranium. Much of this material is buried underground as well, making it extremely difficult to destroy or extract. Analysts have also emphasized that while some facilities can be damaged, Iran's institutional knowledge and scientific expertise cannot be eliminated by bombing alone, allowing for them to obviously just reconstruct anything we destroy. The goal of the Trump administration is to literally get Iran to commit to not building a nuclear weapon in the future. But we already had this under Obama's nuclear deal. It says Iran reaffirms that under no circumstances will it ever seek, develop, or acquire any nuclear weapons. After spending tens of billions of dollars, losing U.S. troops, taking the lives of thousands of civilians, and crippling the global economy, we're trying to get back to where Obama already had us with his nuclear deal that Trump got rid of.
Y'all, at this point, Trump ain't going to be able to get that deal back on the table. You know why? Because Iran is never going to cooperate. See, he should have left everything alone. No matter what Israel wanted to do in this whole thing, let them do Israel. But he had that deal, and everybody had advised him to leave that deal alone. Now you want to come back and put the same damn thing up in their face, and you think they're going to go along. They're not going to cooperate now. And I don't blame them. You couldn't do that to me. If we had a deal and you took it off the table and it was a good deal, and then you realize, oh, well, let me come back with that same deal, I would refuse you too. Especially after I done kicked your ass, I wouldn't have to go along with your deal. They're not going to go along with anything the U.S. presents at this point. They don't have to. They don't have to do it. So Donald Trump, no matter what he does or say, he is not going to be able to get no deal on the table for Iran when it comes down to uranium that they are going to go along with. So we'll see how long it's going to take before the bombing starts again, but look like the ceasefire is probably going to go the whole 2 weeks and nothing is going to get done. Nothing is going to get done. Yeah, I think he played his hand and he failed. He failed. The art of the deal is toilet paper. That's all that book is. That book is toilet paper. And I don't believe Donald Trump wrote it. I think he hired a ghostwriter. Listen to the way Donald Trump sounds. Does that man sound like he could write a book? I believe he had a ghostwriter. He did not write that. Come on. He hired someone to write it and slap his name on it because that's what a colonizer does. Yeah. Iran is in a position, they don't have to allow the United States to tell them what to do. And you can see they are standing on business. They're not going to be moved by nothing J.D. Vance or Donald Trump or Pete Hegseth. They don't care about what any of them say. But no, I don't believe Donald Trump wrote that book. I bet it was a ghostwriter that did. So, y'all, I'm going to go ahead and conclude. Thank you so much for being here. I got 2 more lives on tap. And I know what I have to tell you. And don't forget to pick up your hair products. Donald Trump is talking about bombing inside of Mexico. He said to go after the cartels. So Mexico is about to get bombed. And I'm like, okay, this is just absolutely crazy what this man is doing. But yes, he's talking about, maybe I will talk about that tomorrow. But yes, he's talking about going in and bombing inside of Mexico. So, y'all, I will see you at 1:45 for my next live. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your support, and I will see you later. Shalom, family.